the more you're gonna listen to it, the more plausible it can become. There is a future for us in duality, which most people don't talk about, and I think it's a fascinating subject. And I'm just sharing this because I think it's just gonna be beautiful, and I don't want to put any ideology behind it. I don't want somebody to use this to push some agenda. It's a reality, a biological reality, a reality of our existence, and I think we're gonna get there, I would say, in 50 years. Provided we understand a few things about the mind, and provided that the answer to some questions is that it's possible. And the main question that needs to be addressed is if consciousness can also be present in other forms of life, or other forms of matter, rather than silicon. And I'm telling you this because of a very plausible way that humanity can evolve. And that is, you are going to still have a human existence, a biological existence, and by all that we know about biology, this has to end at some point. No matter how much we can extend life, we're not gonna be able to extend it beyond a certain threshold when the organism just fails. That would probably be possible with a whole replacement of, again, not carbon-based materials, but yeah, you cannot, or at least as far as I understand biology, a brain transplant is not really possible. How would you even connect all the things? Yeah, it's just not doable. I don't think it's biologically possible. So now we go to the second thing that will become possible, which is to, and again, if a silicon-based form of consciousness would be possible, to upload a sense of how somebody is in a form of consciousness, right? Will that be the same person that has died? No, of course. It's a very simple. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm calling it a duality of existence. But it's a way of living beyond biology, and it's fascinating and it's scary, and it's the next step in the human evolution. You're gonna have a human life in which you experience certain things, and then close to the end of it, or when you decide that you want to upload or to work at your consciousness, that's gonna be uploaded when your life is going to end. Well, you're going to be able to do that, and that you, that virtual you, is not gonna be the same with you. You're still going to be dead, but a very similar type of intelligence is going to live beyond your biological experience, and that's scary as hell. I don't know how that's gonna look. I don't know how that's gonna be translated into actuality, but uploading the mind to a server somewhere is going to be a possibility. And humankind is going to still exist in biology. They're gonna go through a lot of challenges, and maybe they're gonna deem that having somebody from the past with some certain knowledge and experience, it's gonna be useful, right? And maybe not everybody's gonna get uploaded, and definitely they're not going to get to. But think of the amount of the information that you have unknowingly shared with all the platforms that you're using, the phone, like Google, Facebook, Instagram, your shopping patterns, your even your discussions. Everything can be heard with the right tools to access your phone. And the point is, the data to construct a you, which is 80 or 90% similar, is there. It could be done. How that would go on to really exist in a virtual world, as in to also have a tangible impact in a virtual world, that's difficult to say, because there can be two ways. we do not know if consciousness is possible for this kind of upload. So if it's not, it's just gonna be some sort of AI. And it's probably gonna have a very limited use for friends and family to feel like they are talking with you after you have passed. And I think this is going to be phase number 1. And this is gonna see a lot of, let's say, people that are going to be using it, because missing somebody who has passed is horrible. And it's always been like, it's tough to talk about it, but you always want to have one last conversation with them. And when some sort of AI chatbot LLM is going to replicate their personality almost like they are there, you're gonna know that it's not the same person, of course, but you're still going to feel very strongly about that LLM. And phase number 2, if consciousness is possible, then that means an existence beyond biology. It's an existence in a silicon-based reality, right? And it would still need the biology to power it and to plug it in. And again, maybe there are going to be huge servers somewhere in Iceland, because you wouldn't have to cool them or some sort. And you would pay during your lifetime, let's say $1 million, for upload to be permanent and forever, and you're going to have an existence in that virtual reality forever. That's scary. I'm actually, it's tangential to what I do in my research, and I know maybe this sounds like completely stupid or completely insane, but this can have such difficult and very disarming spin-offs. And you can just think of somebody who claims that this kind of upload could be a solution to our soul going to heaven, like the equivalent of it. And let's not go into that place. That's why I wanted to discuss this idea before it happens. It's still gonna be man-made. It's still gonna be. It's just gonna be an evolutionary thing. So, how humanity is gonna look in 300 years, it's going to be so insanely different than it looks right now, that I feel most of us would not recognize it. Because the way that we have accelerated our progress, even after the Second World War, but even before that, with the Industrial Revolution, it has been insane, right? So the humanity has moved to an exponential type of evolution, and there is no way of saying when we are going to stop, unless we meet an existential threat. So I hope this sounds like coming from a person who's genuinely interested in this subject, who's genuinely asking questions, and who's genuinely thinking that this can be a real possibility. And I would definitely go for something like that. I would definitely want my conscious silicon-based copy or clone to have an experience of that virtual world. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be after my death. It could be during my lifetime. And I could also see the actions of that and see if to have some sort of, correcting mechanism to that entity. Have like each week, maybe 1 hour, to see some of their main decisions and see if my biological self agrees to that. And then when I'm gone, that silicone-based thing will just keep its existence, and it will live on together with the people that I loved, and not the people, sorry, that would be wrong, with parts of people that I love. And that's, if you agree, and that's again everything that I've stated here, it's based on the idea that the mind can be separate from the body. That's why I called it a dualist perspective at the beginning. It's not the classical dualism between the mind and body, and who says about like substance dualism or things of that nature, of different substances. So it's a different way of thinking about things, but it's I think way more powerful, because I'm of the opinion that consciousness cannot exist without a body. So I'm definitely not any sort of dualist. So consciousness means any kind of first person experience, right? So the subjective experience cannot exist without a body. But if it can, if that subjective experience can exist in silicon, and we can get there, that's gonna open up such interesting perspectives for the afterlife. And this is why research in this area matters. And this is why it's so exciting to discuss and think about it, and go into seeing how this can be realizable. It's not just some geeks going into discussing their alternate life. It's a way to achieve immortality. And I think that's just incredible. Is it gonna be well, you might ask, and I'm gonna finish with this. You might ask if it's gonna be a lesser reality, and no, it's still the same reality. I'm arguing this in my doctoral thesis with regards to virtual realities and reality and so on, and I'm arguing that the whole concept of realism versus fictionalism is a wrong concept from the start, because you are still working within the same physical bounds. You are still working within the same sort of universe and framework, and both worlds are equal. And this is not a realist scenario. It's a scenario which tells you that what happens in such a reality would still be the quote-unquote real thing for the silicon-based consciousness experiencing those. Right? It's not of a lower quality. Okay, if it would be a very equivalent to somebody being to a multiverse theory, right? To just put it briefly. So yeah, cannot wait to see the thoughts on this, but it's just crazy.